It is finally that time of, I wouldn't say year, but that time of one of the biggest events that is on the sporting calendar. Yes, it's the 2020 Ryder Cup. And yes, I say 2020 because we're not in a time warp. It's not really billed as the 2021 Ryder Cup. Are we excited? It starts tomorrow. 3 days of team action. USA versus Europe. There's everything to play for. Bragging rights for both teams, and it's going to be spectacular. Whistling Straits is the venue, and they've been setting it up from, who knows, a couple of weeks already for this tournament. And we are going to dive into this tournament and find out what our panel's opinion is and your opinion on the line as we break it down. I'm not the only one. Here we go. If you're wondering who was going to be on the show tonight, well, we have Donnie Geldenhuys. We've got Basil Wright. We've got Dylan. Welcome back, Dylan. And we've got Jason Jerican. Everybody, how excited are we?
Oh, very
beautiful.
I can only assume that the weekend has been planned around the golf.
200%.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's my wife's birthday on Saturday, but I'm sending her off on her own.
Right, you still got this. You got Sunday to watch, so it's all right.
And may I just add, for the rest of my life, I'll have the Ryder Cup on my birthday weekend. How about that?
Because your birthday is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Awesome. Happy birthday, Baz, for tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
happy birthday.
Let us get the excitement going here. First of all, I'm sure everybody wants to know, who are we supporting? Well, I'm not going to start with myself. Let's just go around the monitor and start with Donnie. Donnie, who are you supporting today?
Yeah, I'm going to go Team USA.
Interesting. Basil?
I may be wearing red tonight, but my heart is with Europe. I feel they've got a lot to offer the game. A little bit more passion, a little bit more grit than the Americans. You know, they're very patriotic, but yeah, Europe for the win.
I'm not too sure who you're going for, Coach. Who are you going for?
USA.
And then Jason?
Maz, why you put me next to Donald Trump's son on the left here? I mean, actually, I'm surprised I don't see the little flick-flack of the hair coming over that, although I might need a little bit later. Maz, with respect, obviously, from a betting perspective, heart with Europe. You've got to support the boys there in blue. But from a betting perspective, who do I think is going to win this week? I do think America are very, very hard to beat. Heart with Europe, though. Heart with Europe. So it makes it 2-2. Mazzy, you can't sit on the fence. Who are you supporting?
Yeah.
You know, there's all the talk about the European gees, shall we say, and the American infighting. But I do think that the course that has been chosen is very much linksy. And the wind is predicted for this weekend, which is going to play into, you would think, the Europeans' hands if they understand and play the conditions better. So that's where I'm torn between the things. So from conditions point of view, I think maybe that.
Pick a side.
Pick a side.
I'm going to go
Pick a
Europe.
side.
Fine, I'll go Europe.
Yeah, baby.
Happy. All right. There's, as always, guys who have joined us. Quibus, thank you for joining us. It's much appreciated. Is it Ryder Cup time yet? Yes, tomorrow. Very, very close. Jacques, hello. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure you'll have plenty of comments for the boys. We've got all 18 hole flyovers. So if you want to see a specific hole whenever we get to that point, then just drop which hole you'd like to see and we'll fly it in for you. We've got Shannon Schaefer, go Team Europe. Okay, so we got another European. It seems like we've got, oh, it's the same one. I had one here, go Team Europe. Jacques has said Europe will win this time round. Want them to win. Well, didn't they win the last time? Who won that? Well, we'll check. Anyway, so boys, are we ready to break this all down? There's plenty to do. First of all, we have to put things in context. And putting things in context means, let's see what the standings of the Ryder Cup is. Since 1927 to present day, the Americans have won 26 times and the European 14 times, which we can say most of them have come in the last 2 decades. They've found a way to beat the Americans home and away. Looking at the history, since 2004, as you can see, there's 6-8. In favor of the European side. Let's go down to 2004, where the Europeans 18.5 beating the Americans to their 9.5, which is a hiding at Oakland's, and then at the K Club, the same scoreline. In 2008, the Americans came out on top at Valhalla And then 3 in a row from the Europeans at the Celtic Manor. The miracle at Medina, I'm sure we all remember that in 2012. Glen Eagles, 2014. And the USA coming back in 2016 at Hazeltine. And then 2018, back to normal winning ways as the Europeans outplayed them at Paris's Le Golf National. So, putting in this context, do we see some of the same happening this time around, boys?
To be quite frank, I think Europe is going to have their hands full this week. But it's, what is it, 6 out of the last 8, was it? Or, so Europe has a lot of, they've got a lot to hold against, playing America this time round, and they're going to have a lot of pressure, especially because of the world rankings between the players. So the 12 players are all relatively inside the top 20 from America's point of view. So it's going to be a tough outing for Europe, being away as well. And how the hecklers of the USA can be, so we've got to take that into consideration, that Europe is definitely going to be tested in all parts of the game.
Dylan, you jumping in here?
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting that you put up the graphic that it's 26-14 or whatever overall. I think sometimes we forget that originally the Ryder Cup was actually America versus Great Britain.
Yeah.
I think it was about 1979, 1980, somewhere there, where they added that to be continental Europe. It became USA versus Europe. And since it's been America versus Europe, Europe actually holds the upper hand. I think it's 12-8 or 13-8 or something like that. But since it's been Europe versus America, the Europeans have actually won Ryder Cups. So although I do sit here as an American fan, the statistics do actually show that the Europeans in modern history have won a lot more. What we can attribute that to, I'm not entirely sure, but I'll still be wanting the red, white, and blue to prevail this week.
Yeah, it was like Dill, just to add to that. Steve Stricker is like, I think he's not the dumbest guy out there, and I can tell you now, he's using all his resources from past captains, to basically, I can tell you now, I think there was a couple of phone calls to Tiger as well, just to get some feedback and everything. And I think he's going to have a couple of surprises for the Europeans come, I think, pairings, at the same time. So yeah, I think, don't write the Americans off. I think they stand a very good chance. It's home ground soil. The fans will get behind them. So I think they're the ones to
bring the fans back, and as Bazzi said, the American fans are notoriously sort of one-sided, and they do heckle the opponents, which can be an issue. But I think obviously world rankings and stuff play a part, but the way the PGA Tour is set up, these guys are very individuals. The Americans, they have their own team of coaches and travel agents and masseuses and caddies and all that, and they all kind of stick to themselves. Whereas, if you go play the European Tour, the guys tend to travel together, they tend to stay together, they do a house share. And we're talking like, top guys in the world who will go play, let's say, the French Open or the Dutch Open or whatever, and they'll do a house share and they'll have a good time, and they do bond in that situation. Whereas the Americans travel around America and they each stay in their own, own sort of suite or their own sort of rented house with their family, with their team, tend to be very individual. So, honestly speaking, I think individually the Americans are better, particularly in America. But I think as a team, emotionally, I think the Europeans definitely have a recipe that breeds the team environment.
Speaking about all the teams, I think it's a good time to have a look at the teams that were eventually chosen. We're going to start with Team Europe. John Rahm, number 1 golfer in the world. Paul Casey, Rory McIlroy, a debut for Victor Holland, the 23-year-old, having an absolutely blinding season. Tommy Fleetwood is also there. Tyrrell Hatton, Matt Fitzpatrick, Lee Westwood, if I'm not mistaken, is his 11th or so Ryder Cup. Brent Wiesberger, Shane Lowry also making a debut. The 7th Ryder Cup for Ian Poulter after he just missed 2016. And then Sergio Garcia has played also many What are your? I would like each one of you to talk about a player.
I'll start.
Go for it.
No, for me, Victor Hovland has been a revelation in the last couple of years in world golf. And I know he's a rookie this year, but he's proven with that slightly extended putter that he can handle on the big stage. There's a lot of talk in the American press and the press overseas that he's going to be one of the guys to play all 5 rounds, whether it happens or not. And we'll have a look. But for me, you've got to play around Rahm, who's also coming off an illness. You've got to manage him right. Paul Casey, 44 years old or 46 years old, also just, you've got to manage him. Rory can go everywhere and anywhere. So for me, the play around this week, Victor Hovland, if he can come out fighting day one, get a point on the board, I expect him to get a minimum of 4 points.
So you expect him to play all the matches?
Well, just based on, you look at the team selections and the way the guys are being paired up, and I wouldn't expect him not to. He's a young player. He's fit. He's fasty. He's on form. And like I said, just reading the press this week from America and from Europe, he's the guy from the European side that they are talking about to play all 5 rounds. So whether it happens, whether Mr. Harrington has got different opinions, he might stick with Ireland and play Lowry all 5 rounds, which might be to the detriment of Europe. But for me, I'd like to see Hovland come out fighting, and different bets online, and that he's very well priced in terms of getting good odds on him as being like the top rookie, top European player, top player overall in that. And I'll be nibbling a little bit around him.
Coming back to the team, who's next?
I'll go. My pick must be Ian Poulter there. Obviously he's been around for a lot of time, and we all know his enthusiasm. And I think when Team Europe is going to be a bit down and they're a little bit behind the leaderboard, and he starts catching form, he starts fist pumping and going like all berserk like we've known he's done in the last few games, that he's played for the Ryder Cup team. It's like I think that can give the European team that extra, oomph, to basically is like follow suit, and then everybody will just jump that same bandwagon to start playing better, start contesting for the team. So I think he's also going to be a crucial, player. I don't know if he's going to play all the games. I think a pairing for him, if he's going to play is like some of the double matches. I think him and Lee Westwood would be a good pairing. But that's to see if he's going to play everyone. But I really would want to look and see how he plays in the singles. I think that's going to be freaking awesome. I'm
going to leave Team USA for the boys at the bottom, Basil and Dylan. Ian Poulter on a good run of form as well. 3 top 10 finishes towards the end of the season. So he is really looking forward to it. And as you said, he doesn't need much to hype him up. Padraig Harrington had taken a picture. Couldn't be more proud to be leading this incredible group of players to represent #Team Europe this week. Looking very spiffy with their outfits and their bags. Let's go to Team USA. Dylan, you go through the team and you give your insights on what you think of this makeup.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, sort of in terms of world ranking, I guess that's the best way to measure them individually. We got all of them except for Scotty Scheffler, who's just outside the top 20 in the world. So we're talking about, really great players. It's kind of well documented the individual problems they're going to have. So who do you pair with Bryson? Who plays basically a different game to everybody else. DJ is quite individual as well in the way that he plays the game. And then obviously Jordan, around Whistling Straits doesn't have a good record. He did scare in the 2015 PGA, but that was with no win. Jordan off the tee box can start hitting it both ways. So, it's very, very difficult, how they play together as a team. In the singles is going to be fine. You can set the egos apart and put the egotistical players out first. But in terms of pairing players and players that hit the same flight, players that hit the ball the same distance, that you must remember in foursomes, players that use the same brand of golf ball. These little things are so important. You can't all of a sudden have a DJ trying to hit some sort of Strixon Z star. He's not going to be able to play correctly or play his normal way. So I think, team-wise is going to be very difficult. And if the Americans can hold on to within 2 or 3 points with the four rounds of team matches, then they've got a really good chance in the singles. But who's going to pair together? I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting to see.
Yeah.
Basil, what is your take on it?
If I can just add to Dylan, he's pretty much covered most of the ground. I'll just speak about the passion of the Americans individually. They all have their different personalities, different their skill sets. They all have different game plans around there. None of them have good history around Whistling Straits, so the only guy in the field to ever have won on that golf course is Martin Keimer, and he's not playing, but he's a vice captain. So major week pressure, very close to Ryder Cup. So if these guys can get their individual points up, more than their foursome match plays, then they'll actually stand a chance. But I personally feel Bryson is not going to really perform this week, given his stigma and his work ethic is very rigid, very technical. If the wind picks up or there's a bit of rain forecast this week, I don't think he'll fold. So I don't see much points coming from his side. I know it's a bit harsh saying that. I'm a big Bryson fan. I really love his work ethic. But yeah, I just feel like the Americans they're going to juggle a little bit more than the Europeans will, given their groups, going in and out. But I do see Colin Morikawa, going out nice and early. Jordan Spieth as well. A bit of the experienced guys. DJ. I think even Brooksy, they'll be at the back of the field. Just to solidify at least 1 or 2 points coming in every day. So, let's see. It's a bit of a gamble at the moment, whether they're going to gel together, but which is also a bit fiery. Every player is going to play for themselves, so they're going to back their own game, back their own brand, so it's going to be tough to get the guys together. Again, like you said, playing another guy's golf ball, totally different, So we'll just have to see, I guess.
We were talking about the team world rankings, and as you can see, 11 of the top 20 are in the top 20. And Scotty Scheffler is basically 21, so you could pretty much say the entire American team is right up there. The only bragging rights that Team Europe have is that John Rahm, as we mentioned, is number 1 in the world. But then just look at it. Victor Holland 13, Rory is 15. It's actually quite a surprise to see Rory at 15th in the world. Tyrrell Hatton 19. Paul Casey has done well to get to 23 with a good season on the PGA Tour. 27th for Matt Fitzpatrick. Lee Westwood still going strong, which is great to see. But then if you look at some of the higher ranked players, there they are, 49, 40, 43. Look at the Americans, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16. That is, on paper, hard to beat, isn't it?
Well, even more pressure for them to keep and hold those world rankings. It's they got to show up right now. They wouldn't want to lose against guys who are just randomly floating around top 30, top 40 in the world.
Yeah.
But also on the other hand, the guys that are in the top 20, 30, and 40, these guys have played 7, 8 Ryder Cups. These guys have made 4, 5 footers to half holes, to 1 holes. So. The American team looks solid on paper, but I think experience-wise, it leans towards Europe.
Donnie,
but listen, you also got to look at those teams right now and the guys on form. For me, that's my biggest qualm about the European side is that, yes, they bring gears. You can arrive at a golf course and say, rah, 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 I'm going to do as well. And listen, Ian Poulter is one of my favorites. Sergio is one of my favorites. But man for man, whether you put them in foursomes, better ball, as we call it, or singles, that American side is formidable. You just got to look at the FedEx Cup winner. You got to look at Colin Morikawa, double major winner this year. So for me, guys, I mean, the betting says it all. I mean, I know Donnie touched on that maybe America has a chance. Americans are 4 to 10 favorites to win this. Sure. They're not even money. It's not an even game. America should win this 18-10 or whatever the numbers are, 17-11, whatever it is. That is what the bookies say, and that's what the stats say. And looking at those teams, it worries me that I know Harrington chose a few of the legends, and you have to keep choosing legends. You need experience, but there's nobody really on form there. Likes of that's why I'm going with Hovland. Hovland and Rahm, to me, they've got to play as much as they can because they've got to get enough points on the board. You've got to put your best players out there. The likes of Sergio, great foursomes player. Let him play foursomes, great ball striker. Poulter can come on, if they're down on day one, let him come out day two and rah for the guys. Just looking at those teams, I see it very hard for America to lose, and it would be absolutely atrocious if they did on their home soil, Whistling Straits, a long golf course. And I know the guys have said that they haven't played well at that golf course and it's BMT, and I agree with you, I do. But, you've got to look at like for like right here, right now. They've got the longest hitters in the world. If I was America, Jordan Spieth, great player. He's driving a suspect. I'd park him a little bit for better balls. I wouldn't play him foursomes. I'd nurture him, just like I'd nurture Poulter and Garcia and a few of the others, Casey and Westwood. For me, America, very, very hard to beat based on the lineups there. And not because it's just 1 to 20. Just look at the form of the players going into this tournament. America, you just have to watch the FedEx Cup to see what those group of players were doing.
While we're on stats, I just wanted to point this out. Sergio Garcia, career Ryder Cup points 1. Sergio Garcia, 25.5. Entire USA team combined, 25.5. So that one just says how valuable Sergio is in this type of format. And the other stat I want to throw out there is Lee Westwood has played 44 matches. The entire of the American team has played 46 matches. So that is where the experience have really gone for. Donnie, experience is everything.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you've got a US team that's got a couple of newbies, and also it's like they're young guys. It's like there might be some of these like second or third Ryder Cups, but to go and play against a guy that's got 44 matches behind the belt, it's like he knows a trick or two, to get into the guy's head, So I really think it's going to be very hard for America. Like I said, it's like I like, and I want them to win, but from experience side, you have to say, Team Europe is like first place there.
Jason.
If you think Dustin Johnson is the most senior person in the American team, so it's like hopefully the rest can feed off him.
Jason Peter Zakaria said, a women's European Solheim Cup team won in the USA against all odds. No reason why the men can't do the same. That's why they're
100%.
odds.
And I saw Rickety Ricketts' comment there about John Rahm pulling out of the FedEx Cup. 100%, guys. I mean, that's in the past. We're talking about 3 days of golf coming up now with players on form. John Rahm can't win this by himself.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
And guaranteed he'll play all 5
I'm
games.
supporting Team Europe. I'm Team Blue. I'm shouting for them. I love what they do. I mean, yeah. So John Rahm can't win by himself. It's not a FedEx Cup thing. Can he win on Sunday by himself? Yes, he can.
Yeah, and he'll probably play Patrick Cantley. Somebody made a comment.
Yeah, hopefully, yes.
I think Europe has a bigger concern with who they're going to put together for the groups, where America has a bit more versatile. If you just put, their conspiracies and their whole, their paparazzi hatred for each other, that type of stuff aside, they have so much more flexibility in terms of who they can put together. So where the European squad has to put experience with rookies and guys who have the same suited game sets, that type of thing. So, but yeah, I'd love to see Lee Westwood go up against Bryson. Just for those 3 weeks that they had back to back. When they contended for the trophies. So, yeah, I just feel Europe they have to be smart about who they put together.
John Rahm, not John Rahm. Would you not put Bryson out first on day one, where he will tee it up and pretty much reach the green and put the pressure on the Europeans immediately, because suddenly they're behind the 8 ball and it's hole 1.
Bryson.
Look, I think 2 things, Maz. Unfortunately, the golf course is even a little bit too big for Bryson. He's not going to be driving greens. He might drive it and have 120 in instead of 170. but he's not going to be driving greens. It's not going to happen, But it's a real risky one. I mean, obviously Bryson has designed his game around that now. What he's been doing, especially in this last round of the FedEx Cup, is he's been figuring out dog legs. And because he now carries a 350, he goes, okay, well, I'll hit it over this dog leg, and actually my landing area is quite wide. Whistling Straits is actually quite a straight. I mean, it bends, but it doesn't really dog leg. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't really gain a hell of a lot from trying to take shortcuts over dog legs. So he really runs the risk of missing it left and right, and basically hitting it in that long stuff or in some of those 700 bunkers or however many bunkers they've got. So I don't think he can bully the course as much as he has bullied East Lake or some of those other courses that they played in the BMW in the FedEx Cup playoffs. So I think he's gonna. I'm with Baz on this one. I think he's gonna struggle this week. I really, really think he's gonna struggle.
Me too.
Let's have a look at some social media. And then we'll get back to you, Baz. It's Steve Stricker had a picture of his team. It's been a great honor of my career to represent the USA as Ryder Cup captain. I can't wait to get started on Friday and watch the special group of players compete in front of my fellow Wisconsinites. We've also got to remember that there is an issue of a travel ban. So 95% of the fans are going to be America. This is kind of the stats that I saw. So that also plays massively in the Americans' favor. Then we have Brooks, who's being Brooks. Nothing to see here. Teammates talk at Bryson DeChambeau. Nothing to see at all. And then Xander Schaffner says, good luck, charm, and ball marker for this week. Yes, his gold medal.
That is so arrogant. Yeah.
Tokyo.
I would also do that.
Listen, yes. For me, he's the player from America that's going to play a lot, huh?
I honestly think that's every single other American is good. Even more hatred between the guys. The Soka's using a ball marker Olympic medal.
I actually wonder if that. Imagine that happens.
The interesting thing though that I sort of read a few articles with is that they had an interview with Bryson, and it's like Bryson said it's like the whole feud between him and Kupka has been sort of like almost leveled out, and they're not going at it anymore, and that they went for dinner, and it's like they had a nice little chat and stuff, and he even suggested that there might be some surprises, which obviously people might think that him and Kupka might be paired. I doubt it.
That's what everybody wants to see, let's be honest. Because imagine they win and they smash their opponents. That changes the whole dynamic suddenly.
But if they lose, they got more to lose, because then that just proves everybody right. Yeah. I don't think Stricker will be that arrogant to put those two out.
Yeah,
I think the Americans need to go the other way. They need to, even in the pairs games, each individual player needs to play for the crowd. I think they need to, hit a drive or hold a putt or whatever, and really look at and feed directly off the crowd, and not sort of high five their playing partners. They're different characters. They all play a bit differently. They don't like each other. So forget about your playing partner and play for your country in the crowd. And I think they've got a chance if they look at it that way. Whereas obviously I think the Europeans are a little bit more of a sort of tight-knit group that would play for one another, when the chips were down. But I don't think the Americans should go that way.
Baz, you had been trying to say something.
No, I just wanted to state, so they had 4 majors played at Whistling Straits, and I think it was only one was American. The PGA Championship and one US Open. 85% of the fields are Americans that are playing in those events. So I may be Team Europe, I may be a bit biased, but Americans don't play well around there. Vijay Singh won there. He beat Justin Leonard, Martin Kaymer at the time. Jason Day when he beat, I think it was Jordan Spieth at the time, and so there.
Well, that was that was the famous one where DJ lost in the playoff. He grounded his club and he made 7 on the 18th
in the
hole.
Bunker. So he didn't know if it was a bunker or a waste bunker.
So he grounded the club, got a straight penalty, and what he thought was a putt for the win ended up being a putt for a playoff, and then he lost in the playoff, and it was a bit of a shit. So you got to think, does that mean that DJ plays well around there, or does it mean that there's some skeletons in the closet and he's. I'm saying it's such a tough one to call,
No, it's very tough. But from American side, I'd play my game around, like I said, Colin Morikawa, Patrick Cantlay has proven this last couple of weeks that he's got BMT, Schauffele, Justin Thomas, and then you pair the boys around them. I wouldn't be playing Bryson DeChambeau and enforce him. Let's be fair. Let him hit his own ball. Let him find his own ball. Let him play. Maybe try him tomorrow afternoon and see how his form is. Let him see how his form is, and we go from there. Jordan Spieth, I'd give him a go in the morning just to see how he's playing around there, because you can always go 3-1 up and you've had a great session. So I'd probably play Spieth and Thomas as the guys in the press overseas have been saying, and have a go. But for me, Koepka and DeChambeau, let them play their own balls. If they play better ball together, they might feed off each other and actually do quite well. But you don't pair them as enforcement. There's no way in hell as a captain that you do that.
If you follow Ian Poulter on social media, you'll know that he does post some fantastic videos. And this is him posting in the European team locker room.
34th player to have ever played for Team Europe. How cool is this? So, 164 names that have ever played for the European team through the years. You have no idea, goosebumps already.
Oh, wouldn't you like to be involved in something like that, boys?
Love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely thrilling.
Thrilling. Then we have Bryson hitting some bombs. For what reason? I don't know. I don't know what context this is in, but this is also floating around Instagram. Busy. Oh, you were saying he's competing on long drive?
Yeah, he's competing next week.
Oh, so is that the context of that clip?
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to get anywhere? Do other
No, I
guys?
don't think he'll compete. He's 50 yards shy.
Is he? Wow, can you believe it?
Awesome.
All right, then
Number
the
6
US.
down for me.
Yeah, Impulse's video really puts a lot in context, doesn't it? 134 players in almost 100 years that have represented Europe. It's unbelievable. You think of what small percentile of, never mind professional golfers, human beings that get to experience this. And then, with a week to go, you have Brooks Koepka going, oh, well, I'm not sure, if I want to play with other people and stuff. And I don't know about team meetings sometimes. And you think to yourself, dude, it's like you're in the 0.0000% of people that'll ever get the opportunity to experience this, and you're moaning about a bit of admin shit.
There's been more people in space than has played for the European team. Put it in
I actually would love to see them play together, and I'd love to see Bryson just punch him in the face.
Straightforward. Let's just do it. Just punch him in the face.
Maz, did you see that video very quickly? Did you see the video of one of the practice rounds where Team Europe actually took on the persona of the Green Bay Packers?
I did.
They were actually wearing cheese hats and throwing them into the crowd. So, Europe have got that vibe of always just getting everybody on their side. It's, I know a lot of the times the Oaks get booed, and that's all part of when you're under pressure, you support your locals, your country, and all the rest of it. But they've always had a great knack of getting Oaks on their side, and it's great to see. That's why we support them. I don't know about these two Oaks that support America right now, because that's just one-dimensional. Support the favourite, rah rah rah. But support the fun Oaks, support the Oaks that have got geest, because that's South Africa. We relate to that.
Yeah.
The spirit, everything. Like, there's nothing you can put to one point. It's just an amazing experience so far, and I'm really looking forward to the next couple of days as well.
Very thorough on what he does, and we've had a couple of nice team meetings. It's not been too
in your face, or it's not been too. He's kind of letting us go about do our own thing. Is when it comes to practice rounds and stuff like that. So it's been really good so far.
No, my hair's too long, so it falls into my eyes, which is a distraction. So a hat is a essential piece of kit for me.
Great golf course, clever golf course. Pulls your eye a certain way with a clever bunker in. You're going to get a wind switch at some stage this week, and it's going to play well.
Maybe sometimes you can react to what's happening with the opponents, but for most part you just stick to your game plan and stick to your game and be positive about it. As a rookie, I didn't know what to expect, but it's kind of like, you kind of have your expectations coming in of what it's going to be like, and it's been everything that I've expected and a lot more. It's been an unbelievable experience so far.
Well, Bollywood still exists. It's just not here this week. That's all.
Always great to hear from the players. Well, let's hear from the Duckhook players. We were recently at Royal East, and I went around and asked for their opinions on who is going to win this year's Ryder Cup. And let me just tell you, it is favoured very much in the Europeans' favour. America, Europe, and why?
America, Europe, and why? Easy, Europe. Always been a Europe fan. I must be honest, it's going to be tough for them if you look on paper. I think the Americans from a world order ranking is good, but I don't think they've got the same passion the Europeans have.
Heart's going towards Europe, but head is going towards America. They've got, I think, the better side. They play in America, tough course.
I'm backing the Europeans. I think they're a nice team. They always have a little bit of fun, and there's a lot of spirit in there. So I like the Europeans.
I think the Ryder Cup's about more than individual talent. It's about the camaraderie and the team spirit and things like that. And Europe have shown it before that their teams get together and they play as a team. And I think the States is just individuals.
Europe. I have more golfers there that I support genuinely over the yearly calendars or the seasons and that.
Europe, please.
Why?
I don't know. I don't watch rugby.
Europe. And part America. But I'll go for Europe.
Is that fence that you're sitting on very narrow?
Nah, there's no fence that I'm sitting on. There's a couple of guys that I'm rooting for in America, but there's the Europe guys I feel is going to take it. Strong team.
They're not the strongest team on paper, but if you look at the Americans, I mean, they got a lot of issues between the players, so they won't be able to play together as a team.
Just I don't like Americans, so Europe. America.
Why America?
I think they've got a better team.
Padraig Harrington.
I'm a fan of his. I just think the overall Europe team has got a better chance, especially with all the Americans fighting, and they dropped Patrick Reed.
I don't know. I think the American team at the moment they're not gelling very well. So I think Europe, even though player for player the rankings aren't as high, I think they play very well together as a team. So
Europe, steady, good team, good solid picks, and they don't buckle under pressure, and they're all friends.
Europe. It's just players that I like that's in there. Then in USA, yeah.
Tough one. I've always favoured Europe. For some reason, they always seem to be like the underdogs. I don't know if it's just the hype that the Americans cause themselves.
Europe or America, and why?
I think Europe.
Europe?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't like the Americans.
In my heart, it has to be Europe. Probably in my head, it's going to be America, but definitely has to be Europe.
I think I'd like to see Europe win. I think they just have quite a nice mix of players, different skill sets. I think the Yanks have a little bit of sort of duplicates in their team. So yeah, for me, Team Europe.
One of the problems that the Americans going to have is the internal politics that they have, because some of the people doesn't even like we're playing with, not even playing with each other, but can't stand each other. So I think the Europeans does have an advantage playing against the Americans.
Politics. The Shambo and Kupka's going to moer mekaar.
Said it best, Master Jan Venter from the Duckhook Golfers Fraternity. They're going to moer mekaar. Well, I doubt it will get into fisticuffs, as to say, but I'm sure the Twitter war will continue if something continues to go wrong. Tournament schedule. So this is how it's going to be. 28 total matches points available. Friday mornings are the foursomes. Friday afternoon, 4 balls. Saturday morning, foursomes. Saturday morning, 4 balls. And then Sunday, the all-important singles, which we all love to see. Every single player in the team will be competing in the final Sunday day. I promise you, everybody's going to be sitting around their televisions. What about the captains, gentlemen? We haven't really touched on Podrick Harrington and Steve Stricker. I'd like to throw that out there. Who is going to talk about Podrick Harrington?
I'm actually more concerned about his vice captains rather than him. Podrick definitely deserves to captain this side, and the guys that he's picked to vice captain, I think that's highly impressive. We've got likes of Luke Donald, we've got Stenson, Robert Colson. I even think we've got Martin Keimer there. So a couple major winners there. I mean, Podrick himself is a major winner. He's been part of numerous amounts of Ryder Cup, successful Ryder Cup victories as well. And I think he's got a very diverse background. Given traveled globally, and he's done well in America. He hasn't played a lot in America, but he's done well. I think he's got the neck for it. But personal opinion, I think Steve Stricker's got the upper hand on him. Based on experience, also home ground advantage. And also having Tiger Woods in your corner, people lose sight of the GOAT. We can't leave Tiger Woods out of this. So Steve Stricker definitely had Tiger Woods on his shoulder and in his ear. So I think implementing that little strategy there with Tiger being in the background and obviously other past major winners. I think Phil Mickelson's involved as well. I didn't do too much background with the vice captains for America, but Podrick. I don't think he's going to be as solid as Steve Stricker, to be quite frank.
Dylan's not just... Sorry, anybody can answer that. It's not just the type of player you are, but it's being able to manage these massive personalities. That is the key. If you can do that, then you're already one up.
Yeah, it's all about egos. Yeah, but the thing is, and that's where... we know in his prime, Tiger was the man with the massive or the biggest ego ever, and you can see he's calmed down now a bit. He's a little bit more mature when he's playing golf. He's a little bit more friendly to the crowd and everything. So, yet again, he's Steve has got so many good guys also around him. He's got Phil that's there. I can tell you now, I think Tiger was on a call. It's I'll bet my bottom dollar on that. And the experience that he's going to get from them. Alone is priceless, and yet again, it's I don't think, I didn't also do a lot of research on the vice captains though, so, but, the other guys that there is also at the same time will basically...
Couples is also involved.
Yeah, and that's a guy that's been around for years, he's also a world-class player, so yet again, it's, it's also a strong vice captain team.
I'd like to add something, Dol.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, a lot of the same stuff. I mean, I think people don't realize unofficially that Stricker was Tiger's putting coach for about 20 years. He was obviously a mentor, a big mentor to him. So you can bet, as Donnie and Baz said, definitely Tiger is at his important. There's absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised if he makes an appearance.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic, really, to get everyone going. Turned up.
Imagine how that crowd's going to go berserk if Tiger's there, on a cart with the guys on the course. That's going to be that's like a Madiba for us in 1995.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at some of
his name being mentioned. I mean, with this team, also just puts a bit of different thoughts in the Europeans' heads. So I concur with the guys. I mean, for me, Harrington, didn't have an easy task choosing his 3 wild cards. I think Americans were a little bit more clear-cut, although there was 6 of them. I do think Stricker's got the upper hand. I do think Stricker's got the stronger team. If the GOAT makes an appearance, what a pleasure.
Yeah. Some stats about Whistling Straits, established in 1998, designed by Pete and Alice Dye. Length 7,123 meters, par 72. Course rating 77.2, slope 152. Notable tournaments: the PGA, as you mentioned, Basel had a couple of majors: 2004, 2010, 2005, and the US Senior Open 2007. Right, let's dive into the holes.
The score was plus 12, so you can see how tough it was.
Sure. The first hole.
But to be fair, when Jason Day won in 2015, it was -20. So, you can look at it that way.
He ate that track.
Yeah, he did.
What will the players be facing with the massive crowds as they come to tee off on the first tee with all their support? I'm sure it's going to be absolutely nerve-wracking, but exciting and an adrenaline rush by itself. This is what the first tee looks like, boys. 493 yards off the back.
Ooh, great.
There we
Trouble
go. Very lengthy.
I'll be in trouble.
Break it down.
Bring out the one iron.
Yeah.
Back foot as hard as you can.
That's it. Yeah,
right hand grip.
Yeah, I think the first port of call is to miss those bunkers.
Yeah.
Once that's the first play, is like then you can attack the pin wherever that pin is on the green. But objective number 1, miss the bunkers.
If you guys would like to see any specific hole, please just drop it there, and I will I'll play it for you. I want to, when I was going through these, I saw
15, man.
15. Hold on. Okay, let me go first. I wanted hole 5 because have a look at hole 5, 603 yards. Look at how this thing bends around. So we move it with water on the right.
You think Bryson's going to try cut the corner?
What corner? There's nothing to hit. Look at this.
That's what I was thinking as well, Baz.
What a golf hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see if we had to play a medal event there, we'd be shooting plenty.
It looks a little bit like South Downs from the back.
Dorian's 18 on the par 3 might be a good score.
In half a hole.
Baz, you want to look at hole 15?
Yeah, the reason why I say hole 15, okay, just play it.
There we go.
So just have a look at this hole, right? So hole 14, 15, and 16 is usually where your matches are the most important, whether you win or not. So I just wanted to see that, the type of difficulty, So it looks pretty wide, a lot of landing area. So not much trouble given, those bunkers are short. So, yeah. Sorry, is this a par 4?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Forever.
That's gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, no, so that's where I think most of the matches are going to come down to. I don't think a lot of the guys are going to see the 18th hole very much. Given that golf course is so tough, so guys are going to be losing holes a little bit more than winning. If you're down and out with a bit of pressure or a little bit of a technique issue, or you got 1 or 2 European or American hecklers going at you. So I don't even think they're going to be cutting those greens come down the 18th hole. They're not going to see that green.
Yeah, Maz, if you can play 16. So yeah, I read a little article earlier, and just to add to Basil is the guys in the States, they think that most of the games will finish on hole 15, 16. And as we can see, this is a nice little par 5. Also still, a couple of bunkers in a good spots. And that second shot there is quite intimidating. It's like for that pin, especially with those bunkers, which will be, on the left hand side, right in line of sight. So, I think this is a hole where it's like the matches will. If it goes to 16, can be lost. With like an easy birdie. If the guys play it smart. If the guys go for it. I think they can get into a lot of trouble there for 2, and they can maybe stop trouble.
In places that I don't think golfers go to. Walk to. Did you see that?
I know.
Oh, correct.
Dylan, give me a hole.
Yards left and right, there's a well manicured bunker.
That's why I said just a couple of bunkers, just a couple.
Give me a hole, Dill.
What's that, Matt?
Give me a hole.
Which is the stroke 1?
I don't know which one.
No, to be honest, Maz, you look at all those holes, and that is Whistling Straits. It's very samey. It's Ian Poulter said in his video there. It's distraction design for your average amateur golfer. They're going to be distracted by bunkers and forced carries and stuff like that. For top players in the world, they don't care about an odd bunker. They're not worried about hitting 7 irons out of bunkers and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's on the day where the wind direction is and what the angles are. So do they feel like maybe their miss is a little bit left or a little bit right? That'll be the only sort of little bit of uncomfort that they might feel in terms of where to land the ball. But it's a dramatic golf course, but it's not one of my favorites. It's very samey.
I can tell you one thing, Dill.
Yeah.
Is that first tee shot they're going to be concerned. To make
they're not concerned about whether they're going to launch their golf ball. They're just concerned of whether it's going to go left or right. You know what I'm saying? They're not concerned about. An amateur is going to stand up there and worry about carrying it 180 over that rough and all that kind of shit. You know.
Hopefully Schickson are the sponsors, so then they'll have plenty balls.
We've got some requests.
Not blowing. I think you can hit about, like Baz said, a 1-iron or a 2-iron straight at that bunker, and you can have a 7-iron in. The oaks are going to settle into the round. It's a distraction.
I would not hit 2-iron there. I'll take the biggest face possible.
Correct. Let's
talk.
Let's talk.
Hitting a lightning rod for my first shot.
Let's
talk amateur golfers, yeah, boys. I mean,
the point I'm trying to make, guys, is that the way a top player in the world looks at that versus how guys that are watching the show that are late, how they look at the golf course. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. Is very, very different. So, and it's very obviously impressive, which is why they're playing the Ryder Cup. But they look at the course in a different way. They're not worried about these bunkers and forced carries and a little bit of a run off here and there. You know, saying they're looking at where they can land the ball and their particular golf swing. You know, do they favour the left miss or the right miss, whatever. Generally, I actually think it's a faded golf course. So I think your guys like DJ Morikawa, these guys are going to do quite well. John Rahm, I think they're going to do quite well. People like Bryson Fitzpatrick, Wiesberger. I think they're going to struggle a little bit around there because when you hit the draw in some high wind, you've got to hug the right hand side of the fairways, which means you're only ever 5 meters away from hitting it in the deep rough.
Okay,
I reckon Bryson tops at least one this week.
We've got 3 more holes to show from.
Which is the stroke one? Do you know which one's the stroke one?
Yes, this is Carl van der Linde asking to see. Let's have a look at the 9th. So it finishes off the first half of the golf course. Just got to carry it, which they'll do.
It's a beautiful golf course, eh? Wow.
It is beautiful, but all holes look the same.
Well, I'm not so sure.
Difficult.
Yeah, looking at the holes, like it looks like your driver placement of the tee box needs to favour the left hand side to give you an open shot to that pin. It does also look like it slopes down a little bit on that right hand side fairway. So, it's like your second shot, you might have to aim a little bit more left to try and fade it out of that rough. So,
do you think they're gonna play COVID rules with the bunkers?
No. Paul Ricketts asked to see the 11th. So this is what the 11th hole looks like.
Do you think the Oaks have taken their own rakes too, so they can just put them on top of their 6-iron and put it out in dirt?
They've probably got 2 caddies each. Mr. Paul Ricketts, this is what the 11th looks like, another par 5. Sure, these things, when the flyovers, it's always deceptive because it looks absolute miles, but when you're actually playing it, it's not as long as it is.
No, it's miles.
It's miles, man. 605 yards par 5.
Into a breeze.
I did the 1,000-yard challenge. Easy, man. Easy.
What did you hit? What did you hit, Naz?
No, I'm moving on.
He was lost.
You did the challenge, so kudos, but...
Let's just say it took me 3 drivers to hit it 700 yards. And that hole is 600. So I'm not getting anywhere. Hole 18 is, Kero said, well, if you guys say that we're not going to see much of hole 18, we might as well look at hole 18.
Let's show it.
There it is, 520 yards, par 4. All these things are long.
520
definitely
yards
suits a fader, yeah. If a fader comes down here, he's definitely got the upper hand against a big hard draw.
So hard to hold that fairway with the draw.
I know.
How far do you think is to cut the corner?
I think it's just a layup myself. I don't know how far it's from.
But this course is beautiful, boys.
Guys, all I know is I ain't going on a plane and I'm not buying a ticket to go play there. That's got too many fairway bunkers for my liking.
I'll definitely.
Gareth Willing says, I've seen bunkers in one hole in my whole life.
Play was a pitching wedge at Glendower where you hit it to about 10 foot and made birdie to win a playoff. So I don't think you're worried about fairway bunkers.
That was a pitching wedge. Those bunkers look like more like 5 irons and 4 irons. That's the problem.
All right, everybody. Well, that's all the time we have for today. And I agree with you, Carlos. Beautiful golf course. We've got plenty action to watch this weekend.
I just want to, sorry, Maz, I just want to add one thing just before we go. Also, what I read on the, on a couple of websites is that Steve actually made, it's almost like player pods the same as what they did in 2008 when they won the Ryder Cup as well. Right. So he's following that same sort of structure and sort of mentality. So, if you look at the last couple of days, it's like a Monday, a group of 4 players played together and they actually had interviews together, that went out and played together. It's like to look at possible pairings, so just from my side, just like the pods that I think, what I read up, that the guys are going to be playing and shifting around from is, in no particular order. It's Kupka, Finau, Berger and English. That was a group that played out together and was in, commentary together with the media. The next one was Schauffele and Cantley, Johnson and Morikawa. They were together, and then Thomas and Spieth with Dechambeau and Scheffler. So, and if you had to sort of take from who you think is going to go and the guys sort of playing the last couple of days, they said that sort of Tony Finau and Daniel Berger went out together, to play against sort of Kupka and English, Schauffele and Cantley against Johnson and Morikawa, Thomas and Spieth against Dechambeau and Scheffler.
Sorry, Donnie. How are guys going to beat Morikawa and DJ?
No, they won't.
I don't think so. But, that's what I read on the, it's like on the Ryder Cup page. And I think that, if something has to go by that.
Same shots, and they're just going to feed off each other. I mean, that's...
I think Sergio and Ian Poulter will be able to take them. Yeah. I honestly think it's going to come down to intimidation and because outright ability, unbelievable.
100%. And if you look at what you just said, Donnie, too, the only person that actually played in a few different pods was Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
And it's a true story. I mean,
it was in his own.
It's unfortunate. He played with Scheffler, he played with this one, he played with that one. They don't know where to put him. So with respect to him, he's a great player as an individual. Take nothing away from his, but for me, captain, play him one of the better balls and play him in the singles. Goodbye, no.
Put him with Spieth, so Spieth knows how to hit wedges into par 5s for the second.
Probably the Spieth might still shank it now and again. You know that he can get up and down out of hazards though for eagle or hold it out of a hazard.
In case Bryson might think change up his bag, Jordan Spieth's equipment a bit, one lens.
But the one thing I do think the Americans need to do with Bryson is whoever they pick with, he has to have a short game off note. Doesn't matter.
That's why I say I wouldn't play him in the foursomes, Donnie. I really wouldn't, and I just not detriment to the players. Just you play players' strengths. I mean. It is. We've all played foursomes together. We've all played competitive golf, and you've got to play the guys in the strengths that they're on. And Bryson, if Stricker picks him in the foursome, I'd be surprised. Would I be over the just like totally like oh my god no? But I'd be very surprised. I'd put him out tomorrow afternoon. Let him go and have a look at the golf course, see how he's playing, and then make a decision about Saturday.
Yeah, true.
Are we done?
I think Bryson, so he's going to work out a way, clone himself. And then he'll partner with himself in the 2022 Ryder Cup.
I think that's a great point. I think you're right.
2040.
He'd still be doing long drive champs in 2040.
That's all the time we have, gentlemen. I'm going to stop everybody there because we could have an absolute mini-series and a discussion on the Ryder Cup. But it's been an hour already, and it's time to prepare for some other golf tournaments, which is very, very important for tomorrow. Thank you once again, Donnie, again for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Second day in a row. I hope you're not exhausted. Dylan, much appreciated to share your insights, and Jason, your insights. It's been a pleasure to talk about one of the biggest events of the year. That's it. Enjoy the Ryder Cup.
Oh, Europe.
Go Team Europe, Team Blue.
Team Europe.
Go the Americans. USA.